How a spiritual awakening ends is different for everyone, but there are a few clear signs that you've made it through to the other side. After navigating the end of my intense awakening and also guiding clients through theirs, I've pinpointed exactly how you'll know that your spiritual awakening is finally over. So in this video, I'll show you exactly what shifts when your awakening ends, the surprising reward waiting for you, and the one crucial insight you need to live a fully integrated life. To start, let me show you what makes your awakening feel endless. So going through a spiritual awakening, of course, is incredibly challenging. It's exhausting, it's overwhelming, and when you're in it, it feels like it'll never end. That's how at least it felt for me, and that's how it feels for my clients. So when I was going through my own spiritual awakening, my life flips upside down. I felt like I was stuck in this suffering. I didn't see any purpose in it, and honestly, I thought that this is going to be my life forever. There was a lot of crying, a lot of pain, a lot of intense emotions. My nervous system was dysregulated, and there was no end in sight. And it wasn't just that this experience felt uncomfortable, it actually felt excruciatingly painful. So how do you keep going? How do you stay committed when you don't know when it'll all end? Imagine that you've handed in your resignation at work and you know that you're leaving in a month. And let's be honest, when you know that you're leaving soon, when you know when something is coming to an end, you mentally slightly check out. And that's where you might start thinking, okay, I don't need to give 100%. I don't need to give it my all because I'm leaving anyways. So I might as well just coast. Now imagine you knew when your spiritual awakening is going to end. Wouldn't you also be tempted to just check out? Would you actually still put all of your heart and effort into doing the deep inner work, or would you coast? You probably wouldn't give it your all. You might try to half-ass a few things here and there because this is going to come to an end whether you give it your all or not. So you're more likely to, lose motivation, do the bare minimum, and miss out on the powerful growth that's only possible when you're fully committed. The uncertainty makes an awakening feel endless. Yes, I've been there. I know that's true. But here's also the truth. The uncertainty is actually helping you, because in these intense moments, the work that you're doing, the emotional processing, the confronting of the challenges, facing yourself, it's your lifeline. Doing this work feels like life or death because your internal world is upside down and you quote unquote, need to save yourself. So if you knew that all of this is going to end in a month or 3 months, you would probably lose the urgency and you would miss out on the profound growth that's only possible when you're fully present and fully committed. But when you finally do reach the end, there's one important thing that happens first. Let me show you what that is. A spiritual awakening shakes you up, it transforms you, it teaches you a lot of tough lessons. But whether it's learning how to have healthy relationships, setting boundaries, how to stop people pleasing, or finally learning how to trust your intuition, each one of us has specific lessons that we're meant to learn. So imagine that your awakening is a school and each classroom covers a different subject, different lessons that you must master. Well, the end of your spiritual awakening actually is like a final exam. When I was nearing the end of my own awakening, life tested me, and it really felt like life was saying, okay, you've learned a lot of lessons these past few years, but if I give you a big challenge, if I give you an exam right now, will you pass? Will you integrate your lessons, or will you just revert back to your old patterns? And that's exactly what integration is, putting your lessons into real life practice. Because without integration, what's the point? During my awakening, I faced some tough lessons around codependency in relationships, people pleasing, fear of abandonment, and not really living according to my values. I was somebody that couldn't really hold my ground, and I would compromise on the things that were not okay, just out of fear that the other person, might feel upset or they might leave. And I had to learn the hard way how to stand up for myself, how to clearly say no, how to take care of myself emotionally without slipping back into these codependent patterns. And I thought that I had learned these lessons because, I was doing better. But my final test, my integration, actually forced me to fully live them. And for me, this meant a painful end of a romantic relationship. And I was terrified. It was really hard. I was scared of what would come next. But deep down, I knew that this was necessary, that I had to integrate to embody the lessons that I had supposedly learned. And as your awakening comes to an end, you'll face your integration as well. You will be tested and you'll be required to put your learnings into practice. There's no cheating life, there's no shortcuts with the universe, and it takes a lot of bravery and honesty and courage to truly and fully integrate these lessons and then to move forward. So how do you recognize your own final exam? Well, you have to notice when life hands you situations that directly challenge the very lessons that you've been learning. For example, let's say that you've spent years working on breaking free from people pleasing and learning how to set healthy boundaries and how to prioritize yourself. So throughout your awakening, however long it lasted, you've probably faced many smaller tests. Situations where you struggled, sometimes reverted back to old patterns, but slowly over time you were improving. You learned how to prioritize your own needs, your own desires, and how to set boundaries. Then, one day, your partner comes home and announces, I got a huge promotion, we're moving to the other side of the world, and they're really, really excited. How do you respond? What does it feel like? Immediately you might feel deep in your body an answer, and the answer might be, okay, this doesn't feel right. You love your partner very much, but relocating across the globe doesn't really align with who you are or what you want for your life and for yourself. So this moment might be your big test. It might be your ultimate integration test. Do you betray yourself, slipping back into your old patterns of prioritizing somebody else's desires over your own? Or are you finally brave enough to say clearly and compassionately, I love you, but I don't want to move to the other side of the world? And this is integration in action. It's taking lessons that you've learned and courageously applying them when it matters most. Which brings us to the most rewarding experience that happens when a spiritual awakening ends. Let me show you what that is. You've learned your lessons, you passed your test, and you're finally embodying the challenging truths that you uncovered during your spiritual awakening. And now, finally, you enter a period of relief and reward. If my spiritual awakening felt like descending into my own personal hell, facing my shadows, facing my pain and my deepest fears, then the end of my awakening felt like pure bliss and joy and gratitude, and it truly felt like the greatest gift that I've ever received. Before my awakening, I thought that I was happy and grounded and self-aware, and I was, but it was only after my awakening that I realized how much I've changed and how much everything changed, because I finally felt safe and secure in my body. I knew how to regulate my emotions and how to handle my triggers. I could confidently stand up for myself and say no and live according to my values. And I'd never before felt so grounded and so secure in who I am, what I want, and what's important to me. So, of course, life still had challenges and difficult moments, but everything felt completely different because now I knew exactly how to handle it. And there's a certain calmness and gratitude that comes with that. Nothing external feels as scary or intimidating or overwhelming when you have this deep sense of inner stability and strength. And honestly, words truly cannot describe how it all feels. And it's been about 1.5 years, almost 2 years since my awakening ended. And I've never been happier. I've never loved myself more and enjoyed a more fulfilling romantic relationship or felt more supported by my community and my friendships. So here's the second and truly beautiful thing that happens when your spiritual awakening comes to an end. You experience genuine and deep joy, happiness, love, and excitement. And it really feels like a reward, a gift after years and years of intense, exhausting, and overwhelming deep inner work. You've done the hard work. You didn't shy away from facing yourself, confronting the challenges, and doing what's difficult. And now life rewards you with a profound sense of joy and appreciation. So you'll find yourself with a completely new relationship to life and to yourself. So ask yourself, do you feel a deeper sense of stability within yourself? Do you feel more capable of handling life's challenges? Are you experiencing more joy, gratitude, and appreciation in your everyday life? And if you are, those might be signs that you are coming to the end of your awakening. Because when you notice these shifts, you'll know that you've truly integrated the powerful lessons of your awakening. But what comes next? Okay, you might not want to hear this, but this next point is truly essential for living a fully integrated life after your spiritual awakening. So imagine you've been going to the gym consistently, let's say 4 times a week, every week for 2 years. You've lifted weights, you've done cardio, you've been eating healthy, and you completely transformed your body. You lost a lot of weight, you gained a lot of lean muscle, you're strong, you feel energized and happy. You've achieved your dream physique. Now imagine that you reach that point and you say, okay, I've hit my goal, now it's time to stop working out and eating healthy. What would happen? Would you keep your physique and your strength and your stamina? Or would you slowly start losing all the progress that you've made? And this could be compared to a spiritual awakening in a way, and everything that you've learned throughout it. The awakening itself, the intense part, is like going from being deeply overweight, unhealthy, and lacking discipline to finally building healthy habits, discipline, and strength, and then achieving your dream physique. This is the hardest part, bridging that gap, going from point A to point B. It's exhausting, it's challenging, and it takes a lot of effort. But once you reach this new place, maintenance still matters. You have to maintain your habits. You need to keep building on the foundation that you've created, and you need to continue your personal growth. It's not going to be as difficult as the initial years where you needed to completely transform your habits and your routines and build the discipline. But you do need to keep maintaining this progress. Because if after your awakening you say, okay, I'm done now, I'm done with my awakening, which means that I don't need any more inner work, I don't need any more self-reflection, and I'm dropping all of my practices, what do you think will happen? You'll become stagnant, because life doesn't stop throwing challenges your way. Just because the spiritual awakening finished, it doesn't mean that difficult situations won't arise. They will. And here's the third important thing that you need to know about what happens when your spiritual awakening ends. You'll continue to be tested, and you'll go through smaller periods of awakening throughout your life. And before you yell at the screen saying, wait, but I thought this is going to be over forever, hear me out. This inner work that you're doing, it never truly ends. There is no end. You learn your lessons, you integrate them, you enjoy life deeply, but then life moves in cycles, and you will naturally experience periods when new challenges arise and they will push you to grow even further. And this is a good thing. It means that you're evolving. It means that you're transforming. You're becoming even more of who you're meant to be. And these future awakenings, they don't necessarily have to be as intense or as overwhelming as the first one. You already have the tools, you already have the resources, you've gone through it, you have the wisdom to navigate them, and now you can navigate them more easily. So maybe 5 years after your initial awakening, you'll experience a few challenging months where your life feels upside down again, or perhaps you have a new lesson to learn and to integrate. It's natural, and growth isn't linear. There's no end. And I'm sharing this not because, I want to scare you. I just don't want you to think, okay, cool, I'm done forever. I don't have to work on myself anymore. I don't want you to be scared or worried about this, but I just want you to understand that this is a natural flow of life. It's continuous growth and it's continuous evolution. So you just need to embrace this as part of the journey. You need to keep doing the work, you need to keep facing yourself, and you need to keep learning the lessons that life wants you to learn. Now that you know exactly what happens after spiritual awakening ends, you understand what you can expect and what you can look forward to. because there truly is a beautiful end at the end of this intense experience. And if you think you might be going through a spiritual awakening right now and you want to be sure, there are 3 clear signs to look out for. So watch this video next to discover exactly what happens when your awakening first begins.